Now, that's pretty much it. I do think that Mr. Walpin, Gerald Walpin, is the one guy who would be looking out for the taxpayers in that whole system. And the thing that struck me, and I think that would strike any reporter who actually looked at it, you know, oftentimes there's one thing about a story that just stands out, sounds fishy, and that's why you want to look into it. The fact that the White House called him last Wednesday evening, he's driving, you know, up in New York State, he's on his cell phone, and they say, the president wants you to know he appreciates your service, but it's time to move on. And they give him an hour to either quit or be fired. And that is just highly irregular. I mean, it's an odd way to do business. And I think so. That's the thing, at least for me, that made this whole thing seem suspicious.
Well, see, here's the thing, Byron. I mean, there's no smoking gun here on anything. There is an odd firing. But when I start looking at it, I start seeing Democratic fundraisers, people who are in with the Obamas. I don't see anybody who will actually say, wait. I don't see anybody as a speed bump in the system that they're creating here. Do you?
Right. Well, the first people who would investigate something like this, and you mentioned the firings, Bush firings of those U.S. attorneys. The first people who would investigate something like this would be Congress. But of course, I mean, the Democrats won the election. They control the House and the Senate, and the oversight committees. The committee that oversees AmeriCorps is the Senate Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee. As you said, it's chaired by Ted Kennedy, and a couple of months ago, Ted Kennedy joined President Obama in celebrating the signing of this $5.7 billion Edward M. Kennedy Serve America Act, which will triple the size of AmeriCorps. Unlikely that he's going to look into an investigation that would tarnish his favorite program.
I just want you to say the name of that committee again. America, listen carefully. What this committee is overseeing, besides this, it's what? What's the name of it?
It's known as the HELP Committee. It's the Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee.
Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions. Now, there's no trouble there. I don't.
Those are, you know, those are the things that Teddy Kennedy's been involved with throughout his career. He, for example, had a chance to chair the Judiciary Committee, which is also extremely important, but decided he was going to do this. This is where the big money is.
Yeah, exactly right. All right. Byron, thank you so much. We'll check in with you again. Now, we go to Washington. The House is considering a supplemental spending bill. Is this live here on the House? Okay, that's live. Are they debating it still? This includes $1 billion for the IMF, the International Monetary Fund. There was a lot of concern that the bill would not pass because Republicans strongly oppose the IMF funding. Do you want your money? This is a guarantee. This is a line of credit of $108 billion to the IMF so they can go out and bail out other countries. To win over liberal Democrats, they took a Senate amendment out that would ban the release of the photos showing U.S. military personnel abusing detainees in Iraq and Afghanistan. John Bolton now, he's the former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations and a Fox News contributor. Ambassador, I have to tell you something. This is one, I mean, every day I feel like I can't believe what's going on in my country. This is one of the most disturbing things I have seen. They have literally put the price of the head of a soldier. Barack Obama says he knows that if we release these pictures, it will put our soldiers in jeopardy. He has traded their security for a loan to the IMF or to a line of credit to the IMF.
Now, it's really incredible, and the politics are a little complex, but basically they didn't think they could get the war supplemental through unless they had this money for the IMF to attract some of the Democrats. That in turn attracted Republican opposition, and then these pictures got thrown into the mix as well. And the president has basically pulled every stop out he could think of to get this bill through. The Republicans are going to oppose it. It's got to go back to the Senate as well. It's not over yet, but when you have heavy Democratic majorities, it's hard to see how they can stop it.
Am I overstating the outrage that I feel? I mean, I feel like they really have put a price on the head of our soldiers. Am I wrong on that?
I think the really important thing, no, you're absolutely right. I think the really important thing is that the president himself could deal with this issue of the pictures in a heartbeat. He could classify the pictures. He could declare them critical national security information. He could act on his own and take it out of the lawsuit that the ACLU has brought that's really forcing them out into the open. And instead he's dodging and weaving and saying, well, I'll litigate it more and so on and so forth. If he were a leader, he'd say, I'm not going to let these pictures go. I'm going to protect the troops under my command as commander-in-chief. I'm just going to take it out of the courts altogether. And he consistently refuses to do that.
So there's two things going on here. They've taken out an amendment to ban the pictures. Look, we all know bad things happen in Abu Ghraib. We get it. We get it. There was an investigation. How many more pictures do you need? We get it. Now, are we going to put our soldiers in jeopardy? There's the first thing. But let's not be distracted. The second is that we are extending a line of credit to the IMF for $108 billion. There's a 1 in 20 chance that they will use all $108 billion. It's going to cost us $5 billion. It could cost us 108. What is this for, Ambassador? What are we bailing them out for? What are we giving the money for?
Well, this was another bright idea as part of the idea of bringing the credit markets back into stability. And just like much of what was done in our domestic economy through Treasury and Federal Reserve decisions, this one is a bad idea too. I don't think we need it anymore. I don't think anybody seriously argues that at the current state of the credit market.
I don't care if we need it anymore. I'm tired of bailing people. Now we're bailing out the IMF?
Well, in effect, what it'll do is triple the IMF's financial capacity, and what that does is set up a much larger role for the IMF down the road for purposes as yet unspecified. So it's kind of a stealth way of enhancing the IMF.
Okay. Ambassador, thank you so much. I appreciate your time, sir. Listen, there was a... Can we put the number back on the bottom of the screen? Aaron, could you bring in the fish? I want to show you something. I heard this story today, and I think, thank you. Wow. Okay, so here's a, we have the number down at the bottom of the screen. Put the number down at the bottom of the screen, if you will. That is the number to the House. I want you to call the switchboard. And I want you to say, what the hell are you doing to our soldiers? What are you doing? And what are you doing spending a possible another $108 billion of our tax money to the IMF? To the IMF. Are we Americans anymore? Are we Americans? Are we all world citizens? This is insanity. Let me, reason why I brought this fish out is I just wanted to show you that I wanted to do a little, this is kind of like Glenn's biology. Why are we using my gloves here? This is kind of like a bad biology class. It's a good salmon. I'm from the Pacific Northwest originally, so I know good salmon. And this is nothing like good salmon. But I want to just show you, fish and politicians have an awful lot in common. You will see they each have a head, a place with a very small brain right here. They have very large mouths.
Hello, I'd like to give $108 billion to the IMF.
See? You don't know. They have two eyes that don't work very well. They can only see left or right. Got it? Now here's the interesting thing. Fish, if you... Whoa, this is really yummy. Fish are different from politicians in one way. They'll have a rib cage right here. See, here are the bones. You always have to be careful. There's a rib cage right here. But what's different, because we have rib cages, what's different is this, in the center of the fish, is what is called a spine. A spine. It runs generally down the fish's back or our back right here. It keeps us erect. It also helps us make tough decisions. Sometimes when it's really tough, we're like, I don't know, maybe I should have a little spine. So, may I just say, call your politicians and ask them if they have seen anything at all like this. I'm just saying. You think our housing troubles are over? A chart that will change your mind and blow your mind coming up next.